this album?
They were all pinch me moments.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
we
series.
can't, we can't
thoroughly
choose
pinched.
because we're pinched up. Is like
Hello to you both. I am so thrilled to be speaking with you guys today. I was just totally floored when I got to listen to this album. So I'm so excited to speak with you about it. But I want to start by sort of just asking, what was the most exciting aspect about the two of you collaborating on this album together?
I mean, with Lin, every day is so exciting because, he does. He just brings the fun. So, I mean, really, like, that's the best part is, that we have gotten to spend all of this time working together and exploring together and, and becoming really good friends,
Yeah.
I love this guy.
But
That's the best part.
I think, the Sondheim quote, I collaborate him and he collabors me. I knew that we would just, together we made something neither of us could make alone.
Yeah.
And I think Warriors really, what's exciting is when we play it for mutual friends of ours, like the Shayna Taubes of the world who know us both really well, they're like, it sounds like both of you. It doesn't sound like you did this and you did this. Mm-hmm. And that's the mark of a good collaboration. Like it really is something neither of us could have made by ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it's by both of us, like the whole thing.
Yeah, I love that you say that it's something that neither of you could make by yourself. So what was that process kind of like in the recording studio, going back and forth and creating this?
Yeah, well, before the recording studio was just all of the writing sessions, right? So the first year of us working in 2022 was just more like, how about this little crumb? What about this little idea? How about this little vibe? Making each other playlists and just talking about what we imagined, and dream casting and some writing of songs. There were songs that Lin had already kind of started to work on. And then I remember you were in the shower and then like Sick of Running came to him and he was like, I got this idea. And he sent it to me and I was in LA and I was like, oh yeah, this is dope. And then the next year in 23 was when we really got down to business and we're just like, okay, we have to make some choices and commit here. Yeah. And did, really great retreats, and we got great notes from Lin's wife, Vanessa. We got the kids, like what songs are the kids singing, 100%. And like that really helped. So the process was just a back and forth of all kinds of ideas, me throwing a whole lot of things into the pot that we never use. I always just like overwrite and just like overthink, all these different character ideas and, making little voice memos for Lin of what the music might be, like a bass line here or, Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, there's two things. I'd seen this movie probably more than any other movie in my life. Eisa had never seen it when we started. So she came in with a lot of structural innovation that would never have occurred to me. I was like, but they meet them at 96th Street. How could they not be at 96th Street? But it was so great because it really... it forced us to think of it in new ways and really kind of open up the structure of this movie we love, but in a way that opens up possibilities inside it. And man, it's just a lot of fun. It's fun writing with your friends.
Yeah. And then going into the studio, which you asked about, working with Mike Elizondo.
Who's really the third partner here.
Totally. And, all of the musicians that he gathered for us, people that he's known, like the drummer Abe Royal Jr., someone that he went to high school with and had bands with. So, we got to work with all of these musicians and then our incredible artists. And we were still writing in the studio, which was, or like writing on the way to the studio, like, writing lyrics on the plane for Coleman Domingo.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Writing in hotels. So it's always like this whole process has just been like, what's the best idea that we can find and how do we create the best environment for all of our artists to work in?
Yeah, well, it is just as fun and thrilling to listen to on our end. But the concept of a concept album like this is so refreshing to me, and I feel like it's not something we see enough of these days from larger and more mainstream artists like yourselves. What was the most appealing aspect of that when you were creating this?
For me, it set us free from what I thought was the biggest challenge of Warriors musicalization, which is how do you do the fight sequences? Like songs and fights are fighting for the same real estate if you're in a musical or an action movie, respectively. But if we just thought about it as an album, we could try every approach and just really score the story as best we could. We're musicians, that's our job. And then the other aspect of it was really getting to explore with musicians the songs. Like instead of handing out parts because you're going to stage it, like we were with a band for 2 weeks, like exploring every song and trying stuff. And then the other part is like, we could never get this cast on stage 8 times a week. The sort of offer we put out to our dream roster of artists, most of whom are on this album, was you get to originate a role and you don't have to sweat a day. And, you know, everyone from Miss Lauryn Hill as Cyrus to the MCs representing the gangs of the different boroughs to, you know, our warriors themselves who... that happened really organically. Those are all our friends.
Yeah. And we invited them in to record demos.
Yeah, we were like, can you record our demos? We don't know who the artist will be, but will you record our demos? And then the chemistry was so instant that we were like, what pop star are we going to get that is going to sing this better than Julia Harriman or, you know, Kenita Miller or, you know, any of the other amazing voices in that crew?
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of that, it's such a great Broadway-centric cast. It's so much fun hearing their voices pop up. What was it like, just like even beyond those, recruiting them and like assembling them all in the recording studio like this?
We love them. I mean, of course, we have like a text thread where we're all just like, "Hey, Warriors," and like, it's just so wonderful to be able to have, like Lin was saying, your friends to work with and to have, you know, folks that, you know, Lin has like a deep relationship from, you know, Hamilton on. But they have like this beautiful chemistry together. Yeah. And it's also exciting to be able to give them things that they've never done before, like what Philippa Sue does on this, what Pippa does on this. As
no one's
Fox.
ready.
No one is ready
has not
for that.
prepared them for what Pippa does on this.
Yeah. And then also, you know, there's things like Sasha is not only an amazing singer, but an amazing dancer. And she creates this kind of like body percussion that we have on one of the tracks.
Which is what we use for make way for Cyrus.
You
That's
know?
all Sasha's stepping.
And then like Giselle Jimenez is someone that, you know, I first saw in Miss You Like
Yeah, our friend Kiara's play, Miss You Like Hell.
Yeah, and, you know, to be able to work with her. I mean, so I just love this process, and I love that we get to have them, like you said, at the center, you know, and then have all of these artists that, you know, other people may know even better, surrounding them, supporting them.
Yeah, and again, like, it's our dream artist. So, like, every time I see a show and Timothy Hughes is in it, I'm like, who is that? That guy's awesome. So, of course, he goes in the busies because I was like, can we get Timothy Hughes?
Yeah.
You know, Casey Likes, who went from leading Almost Famous to leading Back to the Future. And we were like, can we get Casey in here? Like, that's the real fun part is just like, what could it be?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the possibilities were endless, but you also have like rap music industry royalty on here. Was there one specifically for the each of you that was sort of like a pinch me moment, like a really exciting moment to have someone guest on this album?
They were all pinch me moments.
Yeah,
I mean, we
series.
can't, we can't choose
pinched.
because we're pinched up. Is like I mean, come on, Mark Anthony, like that process of being in the studio with him. I mean,
and that's his orchestra too.
Yeah, and he like co-produced that with Sergio George, and you know him doing his vocals at 4:30 a.m.
I have the video.
It's
tremendous.
It is. That was. I'm still pinched up over that. We're over Kim Dracula. Come on.
Yeah. Kim Dracula. I mean, I remember when Busta Rhymes first came to Hamilton. He was really the first emissary from that world of hip hop to come to the show. And I remember thinking, if he doesn't like it, like, pack it up. Like, we're done here. And his support of it, I'll never forget, you know, because it was at the Newman. Like, the Newman, like, he's as far as you are from me. And, like, during the rap battles, him be like, whoa! Ooh! Like, I can hear him because he sounds like Busta Rhymes. And so then getting to really write a part for him was like just sort of the next evolution of that relationship. So
Everybody is a pinch. I mean, it's just Coleman Domingo, who's like dear friend.
it's finally
and
the
people
Passing
are,
Strange Heights crossover
Yes,
everyone's
exactly.
been waiting for.
And you know, people are like, he's rapping. It's like, what can't he
and like
do?
we know him from Passing Strange,
Right.
and we know him from
and
theater.
and like Billy Porter too. He was like, yeah, I can spit a rhyme. We're like, yeah, we know you
We
can.
know you can.
So yeah, I mean, everybody, and obviously, you know, Ms. Lauryn Hill, like we fell on the floor when we heard those vocals. We just melted.
Indeed.
Something that is so exciting to me about this is that, like, for example, the Hamilton cast album was so many people's gateway into the show and into musical theater. Passing Strange was filmed.
Yeah.
It was so accessible. What about that aspect for this album excites you guys the most?
The fact that it's an album,
Exactly.
and
And everyone
just
can listen.
has it next Friday.
Yeah.
It's not. This is not the, sound reproduction of a show you have to pay a lot of money to see. This is what we made.
Right.
And we made this for you. And so, it's funny. I remember when the Hamilton album, like, kind of first went public. I remember that day almost better than opening night because I was home to see people processing it in real time and watching it ricochet around the world, and also watching people listen in order, which is something we hope people do for this album as well, because it's not really a thing we do anymore, right? Like an album comes out, we grab the 2 tracks, we put them on our running playlist, and we keep it moving. But this is a narrative that we've crafted, and we hope people receive it in that spirit.
Yeah, and just to the Passing Strange of it, the fact that it was filmed by Spike Lee and, is available for people. There's so many people who never got to see it in its short run on Broadway, who now, I've had people come up to me on the street and say, it's part of my morning regimen. I watch it every day. It's the reason why I realized I could be Black and an artist. It's the reason why I moved to New York. And having that kind of accessibility is something that we get to have with this album, where people everywhere will be able to listen to it and to experience this narrative that we love deeply.